I first remember meeting John spring semester of 2015. He just played a concert and was trying to be cool, jumped up on the stage, and biffed it. So obviously I went over to make fun of him.
I didn't think that anybody was left in the chapel, so I kind of just tried to play it off, be smooth, like didn't really happen, until I heard laughter and I turned around to see this extraordinarily beautiful girl. And I thought to myself, I really hope we don't meet again.
It was the first day of fall semester, and obviously I was late to class, so I hurriedly sat down in the closest seat and I saw a white backpack next to me, which turned out to be John's. I quickly figured out that John was real smart, so I wanted to study together.
This began a very regular part of my semester where we would spend time together studying, or I would pretend to study so that I could get to spend time with my unexpected developing crush.
Like most college students, the only time I really had to study was late at night. So after one of our late night study sessions, I asked John if he wanted to go grab some food with me. Not a big deal, we were just friends.
I was really starting to like her at this point, so when we were taking time to eat and discuss theological truths, which we both love, I was hoping that she was falling for me too.
A short while into the semester, it occurred to me, after a lot of comments from my very sweet and very nosy girls on my floor, that John might like me. Also, he vacuumed my room, so that was also kind of a giveaway. But I had a crush on someone else, and I was also an RA that year, so when I did rounds, it was everything in me to avoid his room at all costs. I realized, though, that I should let him know that we really were just pals.
She called me Bud, which is a pretty terrible sign for anyone who has a crush on someone else. My fear of the friend zone definitely started to become realized once she took me on the DTR walk. I tried to give her space after that talk for a few weeks. I tried talking with my friends, like, what's going on? And no matter what I did, I couldn't stop liking her. So eventually I thought to myself, well, I'll just be her friend, knowing that we're not going to work out. But part of that included bringing her meals, because sometimes she would forget to eat.
I had a conversation with a friend that made me start to change my mind about John. Then the very next day, I had spent the whole night writing an essay in the library. John showed up with food not from the caf for breakfast for me, and at that point I realized I should definitely give this guy a chance. My feelings for Jonathan began to change very rapidly, and one night after a worship night that he played at, I texted him telling him that we need to talk.
I didn't want to go because I don't know anybody who wants to hear the words "we need to talk," but some of my friends on my dorm floor convinced me that I should probably go.
John met me in the dorm lounge where there were 100 hipsters staring at us, so I asked if we could go on a drive. When we finally got to the waterfront, I very awkwardly told him something and then ended with, "Yeah, so I like you."
At first, I didn't actually respond because I was in shock. I had so prepared myself for that conversation to go a very different way. But eventually, I worked up the courage to say something to the effect of, "I feel the same way." So we took a couple of weeks to talk with our friends and family about it and pray about it, and then on December 31st, 2015, we officially started to date.
A little over a month into dating, we got the call that my nephew Zion's heart had stopped beating. At the end of that same semester, we ended up going on a trip together to Israel, where John's wallet got stolen and I got so sick I was hospitalized. At the beginning of 2017, in March, John and I got engaged, and then a few days later, my Aunt Jael went to be with Jesus. At the end of March, I ruptured my Achilles, which ended in many surgeries, 4 surgeries in 5 months, and in between those surgeries, I said goodbye to my Grandma Marion and to my Grandma Lois, and it was all that I could do to not slip into depression, because I was stuck on the couch. I was not able to work or walk.
during that time, I definitely muddled my way through what seemed like endless waves of difficulty and hardship. And I was desperately trying to figure out how to best love my future wife as she was walking through the hardest season of her life. And it was very, very challenging. And we both made a lot of mistakes, and our brokenness reared its ugly head sometimes. But through everything that was happening, that whole process, God was chiseling away at our issues and our problems and weaknesses, and growing us individually and together to be more solidified in Him and in Jesus than we were before. So now we are much stronger on our own and as a couple than we ever were before.
We believe that God has called us and is equipping us for overseas long-term missions. We're praying about what the next step is. We're praying for God's guidance, but we do want to teach Bible in developing countries. We are trusting God for His perfect timing, and we are so grateful for your friendship and for your part in our story. We are so grateful that we get to celebrate, we're getting married. Woo! We get to celebrate this next chapter with you being here. Thank you for your prayer, for your support, for your community, and thank you for choosing to be a part of our story.